Eric Skeeters, the time has come.
Yes, sir.
Months, years in the making of this random idea you had to have your own program. And then this group called Learfield says, hey, we like what you're working with. And said, hey, we want to put you on. Skeet, how did we get to this moment here today?
Honestly, Kev, it's under because how we met at a sports ministry event in Tampa, Florida. So shout out to Pastor Singletary and Huddle Touch. But obviously, it's the grace of God. We're here. I mean, think about it. It was just an idea that, I was trying to come up with some way to communicate to the masses. And, I'm an avid being in coaching, avid radio listener when I first started coaching the talk radio. So the biggest things were Howard Stern and Mike and people of that. And they had you, Donnie Simpson and all the radio personalities, Tom Joyner, and the comedians come out. But Mike took me through my career. So shout out to them, to Mike. But getting here through coaching and meeting you and you doing the outtakes and the videos and being in coaching, being out of coaching, like that's, man, it's a journey that's so much that you want to share and thoughts. You look at people that are on these podcasts today, the pandemic kind of opened up this new world of communication, and it's great because not everybody's supposed to have their own TV show. I say it all the time. The internet and social media gives everybody their own radio and TV show. So I'm now part of that world. We're now part of that world. But you know what? I think we can give to the masses a lot. It's geared towards our listeners, our viewers, who are people who are interested in sports, life. Because we're going to take it through all sports. Obviously, college basketball coach for 30 years, but husband, father, man of God, former athlete, played lacrosse and basketball in high school and in college. So two-sport athlete, injured. So we're going to touch it all. And Kev, I'm just happy to be here, baby. Shout out to Learfield and their support and of our vision, their vision along with us. Here we go.
We've known each other for a decade plus at this point, and getting this off the ground, something that Eric's always talked about. And then tell us a little bit about why you have a Baltimore Ravens hoodie on.
Hey, come on, man. Well, let's you know what? Because it's going to be one of my points of conversation today.
Oh, did I jump you? That's on me.
No. Listen. That's why I wore it.
Right.
Part of the conversation. That's why I put it on in the initial, because having been an athlete and been a coach, this team, I'm a fan. I'm a fanatic. I'm just like everybody else in the stadium when it comes to the Ravens and Baltimore losing its team. I was a junior in high school at the Pocono Invitational Mountain Camp in whatever Pennsylvania mountains, and the coaches were giving me the blues. Hey, boy, they called me Baltimore. A old coach named Jack Givens, Harry Litwack, and Bill Foster. Yeah, there's some names you need to look up from coaching, right? Daryl Dawkins was the guest speaker that week. How about that?
That's crazy.
Thunder. Yeah.
Crazy.
So going into the 11th grade, the summer, I think it was 1984, Baltimore relocated to Indianapolis. The coach relocated to Indianapolis. And I went out a football team for years. Was it 14 years? Who were they? What's the football team in Charlotte? Panthers. Jacksonville Jaguars. And Tagliabue told the Baltimore Colts marching band, why don't you turn Memorial Stadium into a museum? I mean, that's what they told the folks. You go watch that 30 for 30, the Baltimore Colts marching band. Woo-hoo, brought tears to my eyes. So 1996, guy named Art Modell. He's not going to build him a stadium, so he picks up and brings his team to Baltimore. And when we drafted 2 Hall of Famers in our first draft, how about that? Jonathan Ogden, Ray Lewis. On the phone call with Ray Lewis on draft day, he asked Ozzie Newsome the question, what's our name? What are we going to be called? So, literally, it was the Baltimore football team, just like the Washington football team, and now the Commanders. When we drafted Ray Lewis, we didn't have a name, and so Lamar Jackson signed, sealed, and delivered, baby.
Unbelievable.
Here we go. Here we
Are
go.
you, little known fact, you remember that one of the greatest of all time, Michael Jackson, used to play for the Ravens.
Michael Jackson. Yes, sir.
He was a wide receiver, not the singer, guys. But to not nerd us out here with all Baltimore Ravens knowledge, we're going to start off this show with 3 quick hits.
Yes, sir.
Things that have been on your mind for the past week.
Yes, sir.
I will never forget, Eric. What are you thinking?
Well, honestly, I'm going to go back. I know March Madness is over with, but the NBA Finals are now, they're one game away or, little ways away. But I'll never forget practice UMBC versus Vermont 2018 America East Championship game, and the sacrifices that players make to get to a point in their careers. So I'll give you the short version. Jordan Grant, I asked him in the middle of our season, we shut down the old arena. We moved into a brand new arena, or the old gym, and went into a brand new arena. Asked him to make a sacrifice to take care of his body. No more partying, drinking. Just when you go out, get yourself a cup of water with a lemon and lime in it, and all your classmates and your because he's a senior in college, 5th year senior, 4th year senior, been around a while. Long as he'd been injured, hurt his shoulder, hurt his groin. Actually was a baseball player in high school, threw 90 miles an hour as a pitcher, but he's a 6'3", 6'4" combo guard. And I asked him to leave it all alone. It was like middle of February, and see where it gets you at the end of the season. And lo and behold, had 2 days in between each game for our conference tournament. So it's the Wednesday night, we're playing on Saturday, or Thursday night, we're playing on Saturday. And I'm down on one knee and doing drills or warming up, and I'm just down on the sideline. And he comes by and said, "Come here, man. So remember that conversation in February or January? Remember that conversation about making them sacrifices?" He's like, "Yeah, coach, I got you." I said, "Well, look where we're at. We're in the championship game." Man, that kid reared back and shook Kev, he smacked my hand so hard as a confirmation of thank you. Yes, we're here.
Yeah.
It was worth it. And you look at Lamar Jackson, right? When you look at any athlete, you that moment where the sacrifices were worth it, right? The champagne, and we hadn't played the championship game yet, but we're here. We're here. I'll never forget being down on one knee, and with every athlete, I don't care if you're in the Olympics or you're in the state, the JV championship,
right.
Local high school, you get to a point where and it carries over into life, to where the moment to where you're thanking good Lord up above, yourself, those around you, those that poured into you, for the sacrifice, because you don't get there without any sacrifice. That moment down on one knee, Kev, never forget that. Never forget that. That kid, and obviously as we go on in the shows and we talk about the different topics, but in college today, and the laws are the laws. Marijuana is legal in some states. Colleges are colleges. Kids are still kids on these college campuses. The 60s, Woodstock, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, 2023. College kids on a college campus are still the same. So, and actually now, some of the things that they need to sacrifice are legal. They need to stay away from. So as one of the personalities say, stay off the weed.
From the great Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah.
Speaking of kids, will be kids. There's a gentleman who's worth quite a few million in the National Basketball Association, who has been tied up in some would call silly situations. Got to go live. Got to let people see what we got. Ja Morant, star point guard for the Memphis Grizzlies, easily one of the top 10 guards of the league, if not players in the league overall. flashing guns online. He was suspended the first time. The second time, he gets caught. One of his friends go live, but he's still got a gun and he's putting it up toward the camera. It wasn't like it was an accident from Ja. Is this a situation of a kid being a kid, or should the NBA just let this one go?
No, hell no. Not let it go. Actually, it should be a severe punishment. Because the first time, understood of a mistake. Young, 22, 23 years old. Whatever the case may be, under the influence, out old enough to drink, more money than he knows what to do with, lost, won the game on the road, but brought in, met with the commissioner, former players like Jalen Rose, who tried to mentor and pour into him and tried to get suspension, whether it was considered a slap on the wrist or not, Kev. Sat him down, took money away from him. The threat of pulling his endorsement deal. He had a major commercial that actually was pretty nice with Nike when it aired. But to see it a second time, and I say this, part of the problem is good or bad parenting. I don't know his dad, I don't know his mom, but his dad is always on court side with sunglasses on and a drink in his hand at the NBA games and getting the attention, okay? The story of him going into the mall. And I'm talking to T. Morant and Mrs. Morant, Ja's mother and father, because they're probably around my age, maybe a little younger, but did a great job with the kid. I tell that story in coaching of a kid who had one scholarship offer, played on the same AAU team with Zion Williamson, but only had one scholarship offer that a guy went to the back gym, So shout out to the back gym of all the ring where, the coaches, okay, that go into Chester Frazier, shout out to Illinois. Chester Frazier and I would talk about the back gym guys. Well, Ja Morant, 2 years later, he only played 2 years of college basketball. 2 years at Murray State, this number 2 pick in the draft. Zion, his old AAU teammate than him. Fast forward to his couple years in the league, and his mom is calling him to go to the mall because somebody's bothering her. So is his leadership or his parenting causing this? Included it? Yes. Being a good parent is a part of losing what he's been fortunate enough and worked hard enough to be blessed with. So no, do not blow it over. People, the number of games, but it should sting. It should sting. $200 million is worth the sting of not having it and losing it for having a little fun with guns. You want to go to the shooting range, you want to fine. There's legal ways. NRA obviously is a big, Second Amendment. You have a right to bear firearms to protect yourself, but don't play with people's lives, your own for that matter.
Well, who's to blame then, Skeet? Is this
the parents? I can cut you off right there. Ja Morant and his parents, and he is a parent. He is a father. So that's not a long conversation. Ja Morant needs to be held accountable to the umpteenth degree because, as David Stern said to the NBA, God rest his soul, one of the greatest commissioners, if not the best ever in history of sports, in my personal professional opinion, David Stern told Tim Duncan, Steve Nash, Dirk Nowitzki, along with Allen Iverson and all the guys that wanted to wear the jewelry and the braids, to put on a business casual outfit when you're on the sidelines. If you're not coming to work and working in your work uniform, meaning if you're not playing in the game, you're on the sideline, then you be collar, shirt, pants, shoes. So, and he gave him an option. The great David Stern said, I understand if you don't like these rules, but what I will say is, if I'm remembering the quote correctly, he said, you can find work elsewhere. Meaning you can go overseas, you can dress how you want, but in the NBA, you're going to have a collar shirt on. And it wasn't just Allen Iverson and the jewelry and the braids and the do-rags, okay, and Jermaine O'Neal and those stuff. Steve Nash and Tim Duncan with the skateboarding outfits and the big baggy shirts and jeans. So it was all of that business called the NBA. So Ja Morant and his parents are to blame. because the NBA is a multi-billion-dollar business.
But you say it is the parents to blame for this.
Yeah, I put a lot of it on his parents, and obviously, you know, there's some battle raps, right? So there's a battle rapper out there that's going viral right now, and they're splicing in, instead of the guy he was battling, they say T as in T Morant.
Ja Morant, yeah.
That's how you talk to your son.
Mm-hmm.
How hard you work to get him out of the environment, how you put him in the best shoes. T Morant had a house with a court in the backyard, the story goes, and the barbecue and everybody coming over to Ja's house to play ball. So this kid isn't from the hood. He went from the projects and plucking roaches off his table to eat. Now he may have, but the story we've seen there's footage, there's film. We see him throwing the tires, and T had a good career, good player, and professional player overseas. So Ja's a great story. Let's not get it twisted. Ja's a great story, but at the same time, I have kids. You have kids. Ja is if he wants to be or not, he's in the public eye. I want to use the word role model, but he's in the public eye. So, like Shaq said, you had to go onto your phone, you had to go into Instagram or wherever he posted, you had to push live, wait for a signal, push go live. You had to put a lot of thought process into posting this video with you and the gun. And so if you're stupid enough to do it again, after being suspended and losing money, then guess what? Fool and his money soon shall part.
Skeet, your son is phenomenal at what he does. He works hard at it, does it professionally, and makes nearly $150 million, $200 million.
Mm-hmm.
You, as a father, have never seen that type of money in your entire life. Your family's never seen that type of money in their entire life. He wants to flash a gun and be with his friends. How are you going to stop him?
I'm not. I can't stop him, obviously. But I can parent the best that I can. I can sit him down. I think if I'm at every game courtside, on the road, and at home, I think I'll have enough relationship and communication with him to where when I'm sober and he's sober, or maybe T need a drink to have the truth served. I don't know. Maybe have a little shot, sit down and crack a bottle of, $1,000 a shot, whatever you go drink, and have that heart to heart,
right,
with some truth sermon. I don't have the answers because I've seen guys blow their money. I've seen athletes not make it, but Ja's made it. He's made it. He's there. It's not like he's trying to get there. Like you said, if I'm his dad, well, let's just say this. If I'm his dad, we want to take that long, hard trip back through where I probably took him to tell him if he goes wrong, be it the graveyard or the bad neighborhood or the assembly line where he could probably working on the trash truck. That's what I would do as a father. That's where I would take him. See, here's real people. Here's real jobs. Here's people that's working for a living. Go to General Motors or Ford or one of the plants. I think it's South Carolina, wherever they live. Okay, go visit a plant and see how they're working on the assembly line and the motor line. I worked for General Motors for a couple summers. So, or go follow the trash truck on the whatever days they come through and hang out on the trash truck. Don't get inside in the front. Hang out on the back with the guys that's hopping off the truck. And as his dad, get to him and understand, hey, listen, this is his. Now, obviously, as a dad, T is poured into him, taught him, nurtured him. And if he was my son, there's a scene in Do the Right Thing. Shout out to Spike Lee that people don't. Danny Aiello, the guy that played Sal that owned the pizzeria, and he was getting on Mookie, Spike Lee's character, and he was getting on his son Pino, the oldest one, and Pino was the oldest, and he didn't like the business. But when after he had the tough conversation with Spike Lee, he looked at Pino, and he didn't say a word. He just mouthed it, and you had the lip read. He was like, So
Mm-hmm.
literally, I'm not going to say it, but that's the conversation he needs to have with Ja as his dad. Like this, and his wife, because if mom's calling saying, "Oh, baby, I need you to run up to the mall," the boys talk, or if she's if she needs to go get her hair did,
Why are
and
you doing the head pat? What's that?
if she can't understand that little Ja and his little girl, and them little boys can't be talking to me like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You understand? Shout out to Tiana Taylor and her new Jordans.
Mm-hmm.
Byron. Mama need to have a little sit down too. The three of them.
Yeah.
Mama, daddy, and I don't because Ja has a little sister too. Not to put Ja's family business out there, but guess what, bro? You have your own shoe. Ja Morant has his own shoe. And I've seen people, Michael Wilbon, talk about he's not buying the shoe for his son because of the things he's saying on television. So understand what you have, because you can't take it with you. So if the bullet go, if the gun go off and somebody gets shot and it turned into this tragedy, you killing somebody or killing yourself or whatever that tragic thing, then where's the money going? Money gone. There might be a little bylaw that might take care of your child, take care of your family because of your guarantees of your contract, but the money gone. Ask Michael Vick what them dogs did to his money and how he had to build his resources back up.
Well, we've seen quite a few young athletes that are at that level, top 5, top 10 player in the league, not get in any sort of trouble like this on or off the court. One of the prime examples of our lifetime and probably lifetimes many, many times over moving forward would be the greatest of all time in LeBron James. And LeBron James, after recently being swept by the Denver Nuggets,
I like how you slid that in there too. The greatest of all time. Go ahead.
He's contemplating retirement after a series and a game 4 where he played everything but 4 minutes or 4 seconds or something was the stat.
Yeah.
Dropped a triple-double, messed around and dropped a triple-double, and just came up short. D'Angelo Russell does play for the Lakers, if anyone was wondering where he was throughout the series. But, Skeet, LeBron James, is it time for him to step away?
No. Emphatically, no. 38, gave you 40 in his last game. This isn't Kobe in his last game. LeBron's in great shape. He spends millions on his body in the offseason. He just needs to bring Anthony Davis with him. LeBron's frustrated. He's mad. And he's not taking it anymore. But he is in the conversation of the GOAT. 8 straight finals. Come on. Let's not even go there. Is it time? No. Kareem in his last season, his last MVP scored 30, 40 points, was MVP at 38 years old in NBA Finals. Listen, LeBron's got a lot in the tank. He's got a lot left. He's going to play with Bronny, in my opinion, because that's the type of athlete. You can see the transformation in him being a point forward, posting guys up on mismatches and backing them down and scoring inside and still have the ability. In that game, he gave it all. But you've heard it said many times, nobody else came to the party. D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Davis. Where were you? So LeBron did all. He had 30 something. I don't know what he had at halftime. He had 21 in the first quarter.
31 in the first quarter.
He said, "Let's go." You see the young fellas let's go. And LeBron said it with his actions. The ball's going in the basket. The question a lot of times in that conversation with LeBron being the GOAT is him being a clutch player, clutch scorer. Well, he showed that side of it, but he can't do everything. I'll give him that. So no, it's not time for him to go. Now, how does this story end? He's getting one more in LA. I really, truly, in my heart of hearts, if it means bringing in Kyrie, it's now. He put that out there to start the conversation. LeBron is really, 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 really good. And over the course of his career, you can look at they put on some of them old commercials. Man, the one commercial where he played all the different characters in the pool and the guy with the afro jump, he did the flip off the diving board.
Right.
He's like, it's about Sanford and Son. Or, you ain't never see Michael in the pool. How you going to win championships being in the pool? I mean, LeBron has been the master marketer. And He is the GOAT off the court. I'll give him that. How does it end? LeBron's getting one more, Cap. He's getting one more.
One more year or one more championship?
One more championship. He's getting one more ring. He's getting one more ring. I'm willing to. He will, and obviously playing with his son, that would be a story. This kid's life has been a storybook. So you can't write the movie script. I know he's got a movie coming out. You can't write that movie script.
So he's getting another title in LA.
Yeah, I think so.
And so what does that team look like? Who's the guard? I mean, Anthony Davis, I'm assuming, would have to be a part of that. Okay. So who is?
Kyrie, Damian Lillard. I mean, there's some options out there that can take you think about Damian Lillard's ready now to go. He's ready to go. He's done all he can do in Portland.
Mm-hmm.
He's ready to go. RED, red to go.
Yep.
He's timed out in Portland. And they have some tradable pieces in Mo Bamba, right? Like Mo Bamba's on the Lakers bench. So he's a piece that you can package up, 3-team trade or what have you. Get a Kyrie. Kyrie can sign as a free agent. There's a reason why Kyrie was there at the game, Kev. Come on, let's not fool ourselves, bro.
Well, a whole lot Kyrie kind of beats at the sound of his own drum also. It's
sitting courtside. Yes, all right. Yeah. But with LeBron, listen, everybody was dancing. That drum beat between Kyrie and LeBron. You see my moves, Kev? Everybody was dancing. Cleveland, Kev. I spent 4 years in Youngstown. Okay. I spent a lot of years going over the Cavs game. I seen LeBron James 4 years he was in high school were my 4 years coaching at Youngstown State. I caught a lot of ridicule in 2000 and 2001 over this kid that I compared to Reggie Williams, to my friends in Baltimore, who said I was out my mind. They play football in Ohio. They don't play no damn basketball. Okay. And then the next year, too, we know the rest of the story. He's on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Right.
So he brought a championship to Cleveland, down 3-1. I got him winning another ring. And is he the GOAT? There is no one has surpassed Kareem in the sense of what he accomplished without 3-pointers. Like LeBron has 3-pointers, so yes, he passed Kareem in scoring. So does that make him the greatest scorer? You'll hear all different kind of conversations. He lost a lot of NBA finals. Well, so did Magic. So did Kareem. They lost in the finals, right? Jordan didn't. Jordan is the scaffolding for when you talk about the GOAT conversation, because you had Wilt Chamberlain and Jerry West is the logo, and the Bill Russell has all the championships, and then Kareem, they changed the game. He couldn't dunk, so the sky hook has never been shot or since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He mastered it with both hands. Like, there's so many different factors into the GOAT. Tiny Archibald is the last player to lead the league in scoring and assists. So you could throw so many different people into this GOAT conversation, right? And it's how you define greatness, because if you define greatness in winning and winning only, then it's Jordan or Bill Russell, right? So Jordan has never lost in the finals. Bill Russell has more rings than he has fingers.
But similar to the, MVP conversation, it's not always about wins, right? It's, greatest basketball player of all time.
I've never seen an MVP come from a losing team. It's rare. So it's about winning. It's about winning, Kev. It's about the total package. And it's not just the leading scorer. They give away, George Gervin was probably one of the best scorers. Carmelo Anthony, one of the best scorers, in our lifetime. But I don't remember Melo being in the MVP vote, but maybe 2 years in the top 3 MVP. James Harden was MVP, but Carmelo Anthony wasn't. So it's not just about scoring, right? It's about the total package. And LeBron, in the definition of being the GOAT, yes, he's in the conversation. Yes, how do you build your top 5, right? How do you put together and why is it 5? Why isn't it 10? I mean, so it's so many different ways to look at it. Shaq was the most dominant, right? But Shaq played with Kobe, and obviously we know maybe they didn't get along that well. Maybe 2 alpha dogs. So, is he in the conversation? Of course. He's in a conversation. He's done for cities like Cleveland. I mean, with the past and rest in peace, Jim Brown, but he brought a championship to Cleveland that hadn't seen one since they didn't have color TV.
Right. He's in the conversation and ends it. Yeah, it's LeBron, man. There's not a
We know who you like. We know who you like.
I'm not the biggest LeBron fan. I'm just looking at totality. I mean, there's not I can't think of a single professional athlete, period, with the amount of pressure on him coming out of high school that not only has superseded everything and also stayed out of trouble off the court. Yeah, I mean, you can't. I mean, maybe Tiger Woods, but that's a world that, I mean, what?
No, Tiger's definitely not an off the court cat.
Well, that pressure coming at a young age pressure.
Yes, pressure. Okay,
but off the court, he's wild. Greatest of all time. There's few in that convo, and I don't know. I mean, maybe Serena, you can put in there as one. But
yes,
yeah.
Let's turn the page. Let's turn the dial a little bit. Have you seen the movie?
The Will Smith? No, I didn't see it. No. I didn't see it.
Please stop what you're doing and literally take 2 hours and watch and pay attention to his words in nurturing. And it's funny because they show the real videos of those Venus and Serena growing up. Richard Williams always said that Serena was going to be better than Venus. The movie was really based on Venus going pro.
Okay.
And the dad, Richard, nurturing those two, but Serena was the afterthought. But the whole time, and you remember back then, he was saying even when Venus was going, Serena's going to be even better. And now what Serena's accomplished? Right. I mean, people don't like Venus's Serena's sister. But Venus was on 60 Minutes and he had to jump in the interview and all. It's a great movie. The whole tennis process, the whole and he's no angel. Let me put it out there. My man Richard Williams is no angel.
Yeah.
No, not by a long shot. And the things he did in getting to where he was the founder. No one had ever done it. 2 little girls from Compton, California. I mean, he literally was in the hood and all these stories. And it's a great movie. So in my professional opinion, knowing what it takes to be, having been hurt as an athlete, and she's had a child, and now she still might be playing and get another tie, Martina Navratilova, for the most major tennis titles. Man. So, yeah. And guess why I say that, Kev? Because that whole Scottie Pippen thing about Michael Jordan, we get to that. But it is an individual sport.
Yeah.
In tennis, it's just you and your opponent.
Well, speaking of GOATs, I mean, Scottie is, one of the top. I mean, he's in the 75, but I mean, he's easily top, I would say 25, 30 of all time, period. Michael Jordan was nothing without him, man. When he got there, Jordan turned it up. And, in fact, Jordan was a horrible player before Scottie Pippen touchdown. That's a quote from Scottie Pippen himself, Skeet.
Come on, Scottie. Look, he stopped pressing record when you've been drinking, Scottie. Man had 63 against Boston before you even got drafted. Okay, Larry Bird called the man God in sneakers or God in basketball shorts or something like that. Hey, listen, man. And while he was dealing with migraine headaches and things of that nature, Michael Jordan was still leading the league in scoring, but he won a national championship in college as a freshman. Took the big shot. Go see the movie Air. Okay. He changed the game in shoe market in name, image, and likeness. Michael Jordan created those types of conversations. Michael Jordan was the National Player of the Year for 2 years, a sophomore and junior in college basketball. Scottie Pippen was at Central Arkansas. So he was a bad player? Come on, Scottie. Scottie was the 5th pick in the draft. I was at the Portsmouth Invitational, PITs. I was a freshman at Norfolk State when Scott Pippen, everybody was called. You read the roster, Muggsy Bogues, Billy Donovan. There was some characters down there, Dennis Rodman. But this guy, Scott Pippen from Arkansas, was flying through there, jumping, dunking, and literally, okay, this guy's not bad. But Michael Jordan, was just an average player? Come on, Scotty. Come on, Scotty. Stop. Just stop drinking. So Scotty, go talk to somebody. Go talk. You need a therapist. You need help. He does. Honestly, you can look. It's a dark room, and he's got the braids. When they're having these conversations, that's where the power of the internet is in the wrong hands.
Shout out to Larsa Pippen.
A bad player, an average player. Scotty lost his mind. Yeah.
Speaking of GOATs or potential GOATs, there's a guy out there in Denver, man. Nikola Jokic. Man. He's not playing with y'all. And you've been hating on him. You've been Luka all day.
Check the records, check the files, post them. Go Nuggets, go Nuggets, go Nugs. Shout out to my man Jimmy Clibb, one of the scouts for the Denver Nuggets.
Is Nikola Jokic the best player in the NBA?
They'll win the world championship this year. The Nuggets, you heard it here first, and I'm not jinxing them. I'm speaking into the atmosphere. Joker is not to be played with. Like he can't jump over a Metropolitan phone book. And he used to drink like what, 2 liters of Pepsi a day? I mean, but the skill set of this guy, and having coached some kids from Serbia, shout out to Marko Gojanic from Chachi, okay, in Serbia. The Joker's, he's the real deal. He's one of the most skilled. We never saw Arvydas Sabonis in his heyday, in his prime, in the 80s and early 90s.
Fully healthy, no injuries.
Yes, the international players were not as prevalent, obviously, as today. So guys like Brad Greenberg, okay, who was with Portland Trailblazers, tried to hire my chef Brad Greenberg. I worked with at Virginia Tech, who drafted Drazen Petrovic. I want to say he was with Portland, and then Drazen got traded to New Jersey Nets. But the international players, Joker, he was a second-round pick.
Yeah.
So it's not like he was this household name like Luka Doncic. Nikola Joker, he was like, let's take a chance on him. Just like Giannis. Let's take a chance on him. These guys have the skills, especially Joker. Let's stick with Joker and what he's been able to do over the years without Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray's been hurt. So now they're finally getting to the point to where now they're healthy. The Nuggets kept their coach in place, my man Mike Malone. Okay, the Nuggets stuck with it, and that there's something to be said about sticking with whoever it is through the tough times. You know, if you're in a tough marriage, you're in a tough job situation, coaches go through. I've been fired as a coach. Okay,
Budenholzer.
The saying goes in coaching: if you give the guy you fired what you've given the guy that you hired, you wouldn't have to fire the guy. So if you give the guy going out what you're giving, if you would have gave the guy going out that you've given the guy coming in, you wouldn't have to fire the guy. So the Denver Nuggets stuck with Mike Malone as an organization. Tim Connolly, my man, the general manager, is now with the Minnesota Timberwolves, Baltimore guy. Okay. When they put that team together, there's the intangibles. When you sit down and you draft somebody, again, I've learned this from the guys that do it. So fortunate to coach Joe Dumars' son, Jordan Dumars, at University of South Florida. And you look over the record, the history of the Pistons when Joe was with the Pistons in a management position. He said he loved Jim Calhoun's players from Connecticut. He said, I've never met the man. I've never been to a practice. But like you're talking about, because I asked the question if they came from Duke or Carolina, Kentucky, Kansas, UCLA, the Blue Bloods, Villanova, UConn. He says, I don't care where they come from because the best players, when it comes up, my time to pick, I'm picking the best player. But also what he said was the guys that come from UConn, they've produced in the NBA. And you can go down the list. There's Calhoun's wall of players at UConn. Shout out to Dave Lato and Carl Hobbs, Kevin Freeman, all my guys at UConn. When you sit down with a Nikola Jokic from Serbia, I mean, think about it. You watch the old Nike Summit games and this overweight, like he's got the flab under his arms. Mm-hmm. But the skill set and the mindset and the tools and how he uses them in the situations that he uses them in, he brings the ball up the floor. He literally plays point guard. You can find all kinds of video clips of him initiating the offense. Like, we haven't seen anything besides in my lifetime, probably the 70s in basketball, Arvydas Sabonis. And again, like we said, we didn't really get to see him in his prime. There's not a whole lot of footage of Sabonis in his prime. A big passing center like Wilt. I mean, Wilt averaged, triple doubles with.
I'm hearing a lot of dodging. Here. Is Nikola Jokic the best player in the NBA right now?
Arguably so, yes, because he's in the finals. He beat Phoenix. He beat the Lakers. So he beat Kevin Durant. He beat LeBron and his teams. And whoever comes out the East, if he beats them, it's not his fault that Miami knocked off Giannis. So it's not his fault that Boston beat Philly, Joel Embiid, James Harden. So all these MVPs, it ain't his fault that Denver beat Golden State. I mean, the Lakers beat Golden State and Steph Curry. And so when it comes down to it, the number one seed, they're the overall number one seed. The Nuggets have the best record. They were a number one seed or number two seed the last 2-3 years. In the bubble, they lost in the finals. So now it's their turn. It's just like what Mark Jackson did with Golden State. Then Steve Kerr comes in his first year. He looks like a genius, in taking his team to a finals in the first year, right? Okay, well, it got it. Mark Jackson got him there. Steve Kerr been rolling ever since 2015. Okay, same thing with Tyronn Lue. David Platt, who was also a rookie coach in the NBA Finals against Steve Kerr. Okay, next year they fire midway through. LeBron taps Tyronn Lue. Tyronn Lue gets a ring as a coach, coaching the team for halfway through the season. Okay, in his first year as head coach. But David Platt had a lot to do with that, I'm sure.
Right.
What Tyronn Lue learned from him, the yeses, the nos, the pluses and the minuses of what to do with certain guys in certain situations, getting back to the finals, being down 3-1. So, with that said, Nikola Jokic is, yes, the Joker, MVP 2 times, didn't win it this year, didn't deserve it this year. Not Joel Embiid deserved it. One of the best players, if not the best player. And when you win the finals of the MVP of the NBA Finals, you are the best player in the game. So if and when he wins that, he will be crowned for 2023 best player in the game with 2 MVPs. Steve Nash got 2. He don't have it nowhere near. I don't think he made a finals, did he? Did Steve Nash
no.
Yeah, there you go.
But didn't Andre Iguodala win like an NBA Finals MVP?
Yeah, he was the best player on the best team. They're young guys, right? They were young guys, but you got to give it to him.
So Andre Iguodala was better than Steph Curry.
Let me say this. That's a great point, Kat, because a lot of times Andre Iguodala's Finals MVP was well earned and well deserved. No discounting that. Okay, you remember Toby Bailey? No. When UCLA won their last championship, Toby Bailey was the best player for 2 games in wherever they played the Final Four at, and was MVP of the Final Four that year. Toby Bailey should have been one and done before one and done was cool. Shout out to the Moose Bailey and the Bailey family out in LA. I had the privilege of spending some time with him back in my AAU coaching days. But Toby Bailey was the hottest thing in college basketball. So won a national championship MVP as a freshman. So Andre Iguodala winning the Finals MVP. Hey man, Steph got his. He finally got one. So there's no discount there. But when you win that, yeah. So guess what? David Thompson had a hot shoe one time. You ever remember the DTs? Mm-hmm. You remember the DTs? Mm-hmm. The suede, the leather ones or the
clean. Yeah. Mix the streets with the court. Absolutely.
Who inducted Michael Jordan into the Hall of Fame? David Thompson. He's young. Google that. Google that, young fellas.
So it wasn't Scotty.
Young listeners out there, the DTs.
Let's transition to the football field.
Woo.
It's prime time in Colorado.
Yes, sir.
Eric Skeeter is a well-decorated Division I head coach, also has that HBCU experience, understands both sides on the PWIs as well. Since December, when Deion Sanders accepted the head coaching opportunity with the Colorado Buffaloes, 70-plus players have entered the transfer portal, and it's I wouldn't even say it's rumored. It's a fact that some made the decision on their own, and some were simply kind of released, sort of like NFL free agency or a training camp situation. Skeeter, this is something brand new. The transfer portal really shook up things a couple years back with its debut, and now we're watching Deion Sanders take things into his own hands and kind of build his own team, similar to what he did at Jackson State. What are your thoughts on his approach, his attack, and where things go from here?
He came in and said that he's coming, and he's bringing his luggage in his Louis. It's new management. Colorado football is under new management, under new leadership. So he gave everybody an opportunity from that first meeting. Deion is a master of marketing. Deion no one can do what Deion has done. That's why he's Deion. That's why he's primetime. He created that. So coming into Colorado, he told the guys, the players, when you come in as a first-time head coach in a new program, and there's players already there, and there's one or two reasons. You come in because the coach before you was really good, won enough, and he moved on or retired. But he moved on to a better job, or he retired and went out on top. Or two, the second reason, he wasn't good enough, the team wasn't good enough, you were losing, and they made a change, and now they're bringing this new head coaching. So Deion's in that position, number two. Didn't win enough. So sitting down with those guys, gave them all opportunity, all the way up to the spring game. I'm sure coaches hired, fired, gave them an opportunity. Deion has had to prove himself in every stage of life. Think about Deion in a two-sport, playing football and baseball in the World Series in the same day and in the same week. So what he's done as an athlete, you can arguably say it's second to none, right? So now coming in as a coach, high school coach, built his own program, had the resources, right? So he would never lacked in resources, to his credit. Because if we go back a little bit to when he took the Jackson State job, brought in Walmart, got him a new track and a new practice fit, where the facilities at a Division I program, we'll talk about that. That whole HBCU conversation is a whole topic, might be a whole hour or a whole show to itself. But what he was able to do with his resource and his ability to bring in resources, he brought game day to an HBCU. So he did all he could do there, and then the powers that be at the HBCU benefited. Whether they agreed, whether they saw eye to eye, the money, what have you, when you're on a pure level, Deion, 2 championship games. I think he lost both championship games in the Celebration Bowl, but got to back-to-back championship games. Hard as I don't know what. Look at Georgia. Look at Alabama. How hard it is to get there, stay there. Okay, shout out to my Seminoles at Florida State. Okay, because you look at Miami, you look at Clemson. Shout out to Doc Clemens and Tyler Clemens and Jim Dabo Sweeney. Like, it's hard getting there and staying there. Deion with the back-to-back Celebration Bowls. Now he's in Colorado. 70 guys in the portal. Well, football's got a roster of about, 100? Right? So that turnover, maybe, okay, it's 2/3 of his roster. Well, when I inherited the team as a head coach, I had, out of 13 scholarships, I only had 4 guys healthy when I took the job, with a month before school started. Mm-hmm. So you have to try to build a program to your liking. Deion's played at the highest level. Okay? He was a star player. He was one of the best players, if not the best player on the field, playing at the highest level and achieving repeatedly the success of winning championships. And then add a little showmanship to it when his little trot in the end zone.
Right.
So like the kids today still do. He changed the game with wearing do-rags. Right? Deion used to wear the bandana on his helmet, then he stopped it. So then he come out with endorsements. Deion is beyond. He's an innovator. He has an innovative mind. So when he comes into Colorado, He's saying to these guys, here, this is where we're going to do it. And if they don't meet up to his liking and his staff, Deion cannot run practice by himself. Shout out to every coach on that staff at Colorado, from the strength coach and the trainers and the grad assistants and each coordinator and each position coach on both sides and special teams. It takes an entire village to coach a football team. As a basketball coach, I've ran practice by myself. 10, 11 guys, I got practice. Can't happen in football. You can't coach both sides. You can't watch the offensive line, the wide receivers, the quarterback, and the running backs on offense. And then at the same time, the defensive line, the linebackers, the DBs, and the coverages, and the zone and the man by yourself. So shout out to every single solitary coach on Deion's staff, because they are getting it done in the sense of, here's coach. Deion didn't make that decision to get rid of 70 kids or have 70 kids get into the portal. And I'm willing to bet $1 to a donut that most of those kids went in the portal on their own, because they saw the writing on the wall. They had the conversations of what coach was requiring them and what they were willing to do or not. You go back to, in football, the most underrated position in football, to me, is the offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
They have to do their job on every snap.
Or it's a disaster. It's a disaster. Yep.
One snap,
mm-hmm.
Joe Theismann, you can break his leg. If you don't do your job on the defensive linemen, the wide receivers, the DBs, the running back, even the quarterback could take a snap, or he might be snapping it to somebody else. You know, in those, you know, those two quarterbacks, Joe Flacco and Lamar Jackson, they snapped it to Mark Andrews. I asked my son one time, they snapped the ball to Mark Andrews, and he threw it to somebody. I asked my son, I said, what the devil is the Ravens doing? He said, no, Mark Andrews played quarterback in high school. So,
right.
So the offensive linemen, if they don't hold the line, if they don't do their job on every snap, and Deion is looking to play in the Pac-12 and to probably try to play in the BCS national, or whatever it's called now, the FBC,
the playoff, and
the college football playoffs, and it's going to go. And you heard it here first. It's not only going to 8; it might go beyond 18. I'm not going to say a number. It's got to go to 8, obviously, because either the Cincinnati's out and Notre Dame's out, and you can't have 4. Football is going to become like the NCAA tournament. Know a little bit about the NCAA tournament. Football is generating too much revenue to where you can take it to different cities. You can play. You have more games, and it levels the playing field of when you finally get a champion. It's a true champion. Somebody might get knocked off. You know, Western Michigan might beat somebody. You know, all those Appalachian states and, you know, whoever, UMBC's of football. Okay. That's going to happen. That's going to do what? It's going to add more excitement to the game. Deion wants to be in that conversation. He's going to be in that conversation if you just follow his career. If you just follow the path of Deion Sanders' career as a player and a coach, a professional, and even in television, he had his own segment on NFL Network, the corner of 11th and Prime or something like that. Like, he's
right.
always been a part of success. He's always been a definition of success. So 70 kids, okay. Football pays all the bills. You got football at your school, the most fans, you're winning, tailgating. It pays the bills in the athletic department. I don't care what level, HBCU to Georgia, SEC, the highest level to the lowest level, the one big conferences and everybody in between. I spent 4 years in Youngstown, and Jim Tressel, shout out to Jim Tressel, built a great program, built a stadium.
But this is a little different now. This ain't Tressel Day. So this is essentially Deion Sanders stepping up to the plate and going right at the transfer portal and using it to his advantage.
It's a different game. Thank you. A transfer portal. So the kids now have the ability to make a decision on their own without referencing the grown-ups, the coaches, the adults, their parents. They literally, through FERBA, through the NCAA, now can say, hey, I'm leaving. Not can I leave, not I want to leave. Will they accept my credits? See,
Right.
that's one thing these kids don't understand. In your major, you go to this school. Do they have your major? Will they accept your credits? People don't talk about that, Kev. That's part of the conversation where you about these graduation rates and all those things. When these kids jump in the portal, now they get stuck because they jump in there because of peer pressure. They jump in there because of trends, and your friends are doing it, and you think you're better than them with no adult supervision, and they're left to make their own decisions. Think back to when any adult or any young person, any old person was a young person at the ages of 17 to 23, 24 in college or at that age and trying to make a life determining decision. They don't have the experience. You can't Google experience, my man Kevin Sutton. You can't Google it. You have to live it. So when they're jumping in this portal, okay, 70 kids at Colorado and other places, did they consult with the coaches? Did they consult with mom and dad? Did they consult with their academic advisor and say, where am I at in regards to graduation or eligibility? Did they go to the compliance? You get the phone calls now. Deion might have got a phone call on a good number. I want to say at least a third of that 70 that came from compliance and just said, hey, John Smith, he's gone. Kevin Wilson transferring. Just so you know, coach.
Yeah.
Deion can say, man, I wanted to keep him. I liked him. What? Man, I liked him. Kevin Wilson was good. We can work with that kid. He's gone, coach, in the portal. Did he talk to you, coach? He and the staff. Did he call you? Did you talk to him? He didn't tell you? That's so the portal gives each kids the ability to make their own decisions with no repercussions. You had to get a waiver. You had to get the release in college athletics. We were under full scholarship. You had to get a release from the coach. You had to have a certain GPA. And if the coach denied your release, then you were given a hearing amongst your peers, which is everybody on the campus, faculty and staff, not from your sports coaching staff, and maybe another student athlete, to hear your case in regards to whether you will be released to get out of your scholarship. That's gone. That's disappeared. Another thing, that's another hot topic with the NCAA, with these rules that all of a sudden disappear.
Yeah.
So now there's no release. So when you jump in the portal, okay, and I'm giving a shout out to all the writers out there that do these transfer portal, the followings and the stories on them. Talk about the kids and where they are and how they're stuck, and are they surviving? Are they getting back on their feet? Girls, guys, in all sports, because it's not just football and basketball. It's every sport. It's just football and basketball. It's revenue generated. They call it, revenue sports.
So you are you're a fan of what Deion Sanders is doing right now.
He's still undefeated at Colorado, so he hasn't lost a game.
He won the spring game, so
he's still undefeated. You go into the season, let me coaching 1-on-1, Kev. We undefeated, baby. We haven't lost yet. He is hot as fish grease at a fish fry in Louisiana.
Skeet, did you watch Snowfall?
Oh yeah, I'll listen, bro. I can go back to season 1. You kidding me, Franklin?
So you watch Snowfall? You watch Power?
First of all, let's go back to Snowfall. Teach your mans how to squabble.
Come on, man. Yeah. He got pretty violent that day.
Teach your mans how to squabble.
But did you watch Power as well?
Of course, yeah. Mary J. Blige. Is Mary J. Blige in Power?
Rank them one.
Ask my wife. Did I watch Mary J. Blige?
Don't get in trouble out here in these streets. So
she know.
Rank them 1 through 3. The Wire, Snowfall, Power.
Wire's number 1 because of it set the foundation for all these stories that come out there. The Wire, and I lived The Wire. May he rest in peace. I lost my
Baltimore
brother
guy.
in Baltimore. But and obviously that's my hometown. And literally watching the show, they put some real life Baltimore people in the show. So little Melvin Williams was in the show as Pastor Frank Reed of Bethel Church. So even Melvin, the stories of the codes when he jumped over the 5 and the beepers. That was Melvin.
You nerding us out again.
And his streak, that was their code. That's how they figured out.
1 through 3, Skeeter. It's
Bro, you talked about you said The Wire.
I know you Baltimore born and bred. So, but The Wire, Snowfall,
cornbread and butter.
The Wire is number 1 for you.
Powers too. Even though, listen, I love, and I'm an East Coast guy, so it's not. I'm not Biggie, Tupac, none of that. But it's more modern. So you go back. See, here's the thing: The Wire was a combination of time frames: 80s, 90s, 2000 beepers and internet and all that stuff. Wiretaps. The Power was all 80s. Franklin's Run, whoever John Singleton created the character about, they talked about Len Bias dying. And so that was the 80s. So that was a different time. The gangs in LA. Power is now. Power Ghost, it's now. It's branched off to all these different characters, but it's now. So, and I'm, the different characters in Power are totally created. I don't know if and I tell my wife every time we watch it literally together, every episode, so that girl writes a good story. So I can't remember her name right now. But she writes a good story in the twists and the turns, how the kid killed his dad, Ghost, Tariq killed Ghost, and then now Tommy comes back. So The Wire, Ghost, Snowfall. And honestly, some of the characters, I'm gonna tell you right now, in Snowfall.
Yeah. Jerome.
Oh, Jerome?
Yeah.
Like, that's a West Coast character. That's Jerry Curl lifting weights out there in the front. Come on, bro. And raising his nephew. And listen, that character, and then to find out he does, my man that's wearing a wig. I follow him on Instagram. And he set it apart. Teach your mans how to squabble. being out there in Baltimore, Cam. I'm telling you, those characters in these neighborhoods, and it's those shows. Literally, and I tell you another one I'm watching. I'll tell you another one I'm really fond of. A show I'm really fond. I caught it late. You ever watch Ted Lasso?
No, I've heard great things, but
I'm hooked. Yeah. I'm in about season 3 right now, to where they got this guy Zava, and this is big time player named Zava.
You spoiling? Yeah.
No, it was because the pandemic is when Ted Lasso came out, so I'm late. But Jason, I can't. If the
Sudeikis.
Yeah, the coach Ted Lasso. That's so funny, dude. Bro. Listen, he got all these hip hop references. He picks these things out the air. That man is hilarious. Great show, Ted Lasso. So right now I'm watching Ted Lasso. Me and my wife are watching Game of Thrones. We started back from season 1. We're in like season 5 right now.
Okay.
Just because we never saw it all. There was so many different shows going on. When Game of Thrones was out, this was 14, 15, 16, 2014, 15, 16, around that time. And there were so many different shows out there that I never started from season 1. So we went back to season 1 and we're just trying to, as we can. Yeah.
Game of Thrones was really tough to get through those first 3 seasons, but it picks up significantly at a point.
It's good. It's good the whole time, to me.
Yeah.
You got, the names, the Lannisters, and, like, you're a Lannister. Like the Starks, the white.
I will say, back to the original question was, Power, Snowfall,
and The Wire. Okay. Wire.
I will say, I would put the first 3 and a possible, like spades, those first 3 and a possible of Power can stand up against any show in history.
Yeah, Ghost was he was for real. And the whole
they ended rough though. Those last couple of seasons weren't Tariq, whatever.
But she was building up the character, his relation, and then she did
I
50
get it.
Cents, the whole 50 Cent piece, that whole show where he was, in the Queens Projects and how he became who, and then it's what she's saying with the end of each season is there's still more to come.
Yeah, and it just cheated us though. So
like the end of Sopranos. Think about the end of the Sopranos, right?
Didn't watch.
Everybody just walking into the deli or the restaurants like, you know what I'm saying? You left there like,
yeah.
But
I will say simply, if we just going off that, I mean, the first 3 seasons, it would just be number 1 power. But because of the last seasons being so rough, I have to drop it. I would go number 1, Snowfall. Number 2 would be The Wire. I can't let them get away from season 2. I'm sorry. I'm not from Baltimore, so I
right. So you don't understand the Russians and the heart, but trust me, it's real. It's
right.
That's the thing, Kev. It's real.
Yeah. Don't nerd me out, man. You judging me.
No. You ask. You want to be educated, young fella. You ask a question. Let me teach you. Let the teacher.
It was too much. Season 2 was a lot, and it was tough to get through. But number 3 would have to be Power. But man, if Power ended at like season 4, I'd put it up against any show out there. Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to let's like the GOAT conversation, right?
Yeah.
You have the GOAT conversation. You talk about the different eras and different time frames and different rules, right? So the rule changes when they talk about Lim Bias and Lim Bias changed the Black Caucus to support the Republicans in the 3-strike rule in the drugs and making crack the rock cocaine more time than the powder form of cocaine. It just so the different time frames, right, of when these shows, it's and then honestly, Kev, it's like a butthole, man. Everybody got one. Everybody got an opinion. It's to your taste.
Yeah.
It's to your taste. I'm gonna tell you right now. They have one of my former players, Big Jordan, is Omos in the WWE, the big wrestler.
Oh yeah.
Big Omos. I sent that man all kinds of Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes videos, bro. That time, Gordon Sully, Saturday afternoon, TBS, the Four Horsemen, Ric Flair. There's not a character out there to me that's why Ric Flair is still relevant today. That's why he has his own website. When you're the original, when you're the first, all these guys that come after you, that's fine. Like Chuck Taylor stood the test of time. Well, the Jordans are this generation's Chuck Taylor, but Chuck Taylors are still out. You're still wearing Chuck Taylor. You feel me?
You can't really wear Chucks no more, though. Huh?
What? Go out west. Go out LA.
Yeah. Oh, whoa. Easy with the.
I don't know what I'm doing.
You can't walk long.
Listen, I'm not throwing up no signs, bro. I'm dancing. You
can't walk longer than 15 minutes in no Chucks without second guessing your decision.
Look, going to college campus, the sketches and the Chucks are hot on every college campus. It was in Ted Lasso. My man in Ted Lasso had on Chuck.
You and this Ted Lasso, man.
You haven't seen it, have you?
No, I haven't seen it. I'm telling you. There is another show on Apple TV called Echo that is phenomenal too that I've been watching, but we'll get into that. Yeah, I'm more of a 24 Jack Bauer. If it's a gun in it, I'm Ja Morant. I'm all in. So that's kind of.
You know what? I slept on 24. I'm gonna tell you what I watched on NBC. Oh man, what was that show on NBC where the girl had these split personalities and ended up dating? I gotta look it up now because I watched like 3-4 seasons. The next show we're gonna have that conversation about when the Chicago PD. No,
because because I've seen it as like a. I never got into the CSIs, none of that.
Chicago PD, real, bro. One of my
That's a newer show, though, right?
No, it's pretty old. It's been around for a while. Yeah, and then they tied in with Chicago, Chicago Fire or Chicago FD or whatever. But Chicago PD,
No, I just need a rebel with a cause, and I'm in. I can't,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
But let's
And
get up
it's
out of here, Skeet. It's time to
you know,
close
I
things
can
out
use
with your
skill.
final thoughts, man. And it's time to get folks to understand something. What you got, Skeet?
Understand something in life, right? And this is for our first episode, that you always have a plan, and you have a plan B, but understand that you can try everything you want. If God's not in it, you have to try God. When all else fails, make sure you take all of your thoughts, your desires, your hopes, your dreams, okay, and have a spiritual impact, a spiritual component is the word I'm trying to find. A spiritual component. Because I'm not telling you what to pray to or believe in, but spirituality gets what I've learned in life in my 50 plus years on this planet, and all the different highs and lows. And I've been fortunate to be a part of some really spectacular things in sports and life, being a husband and a father. But understand that you have to have a spiritual foundation, and it'll take you, because there's always things that doctors cannot answer and scientists cannot define. And there's 0.2 seconds left on the clock, and you still find a way to score the ball. Like, those things happen because of your human impact, because of your work, because of your discipline in day to day. But there's also a higher being and a better call. There's a higher calling for every person on this planet. And when you close your eyes, because we all spend a short time here, trust me, you'll thank yourself for having that spiritual component. Understand that.
Understand that. Episode 1 of The Top Assistant is in the books. The audio can be found via Learfield on Art19, video version on YouTube at The Top Assistant. You can also find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at The Top Assistant. Skeet, thank you for the time. We got to do it again soon.
Oh, listen, can't wait. As my man Bart Scott would say, former Raven, shout out.
Unbelievable.
See you in the Super Bowl.
We'll see y'all next time on The Top Assistant.